Hello, District 6910 Rotarians. Sorry we couldn't get together with you at the conference, but we're going to do the next best thing. We're going to cook an iconic Georgia dish, low country boil. South Carolinians will tell you that they invented it, but we believe it's a Georgia dish. They call it Frogmore stew. We call it low country boil. We're happy to be in the Georgia-grown kitchen and honored to be with my friend Gary Black, who's the commissioner of the Georgia Department of Agriculture. Gary, thank you for allowing us to use the Georgia-grown kitchen.
Mike, all Rotarians welcome, and we're glad to welcome you into our little family kitchen here at Georgia Grown and the Georgia Department of Agriculture, but certainly just appreciate so much the relationship we have with Rotary clubs all across the state, and particularly my good buddy here, and it's going to be a great day, y'all.
Gary, we have cooked for groups for probably over 30 years, groups of 20 to 100 and more. I don't think we've ever cooked for two people.
We've cooked for two today. It's and you know, we don't have coals burning today. We do have a little smoke, but that's the vapors off of a great boil that's going to come here today. I think you're going to be really excited. Hope you get to share this with you at home. And you know, seafood is a part of Georgia agriculture, but we've got some other very important parts of our vegetable and portfolio that comes from Georgia, and we're just glad to get to share it with you today.
You know, most times a low country boil is a big social event. You're outside, you got a big 20-gallon pot and a burning fire, maybe need to have a fire extinguisher close by. But what we've done here is we've sized this dish down to two people. The instructions that you've received allows you to go up to 4, 6, or even 8. But we're just going to cook this for two people, and we're going to get started here. So the first thing we're going to do is, hopefully you all have followed instructions and you've got your pot boiling with your first 4 ingredients, but we're going to add the potatoes that take the longest time to cook to this dish. And so we will put these in, and we're going to let these go about 10 minutes. It really depends on the size of your potatoes. If you have much larger ones, you might have to go 15 minutes. But these will be done in or be ready to move to the next ingredient about 8 minutes or 8 or 9 minutes. So we've got a little time to talk. It's hard to think about food and agriculture over the past year, or really life in general, without thinking about the COVID pandemic. And I remember the first time I went to a grocery store after the pandemic started and seeing empty shelves, and how shocking and unnerving that was. But farmers kept farming, truck drivers kept delivering the food, folks in grocery stores kept working. We just had some disruptions in our supply chain, but the food and agriculture sector kept providing food. Tell me a little bit about what your perspective is on how agriculture responded.
Well, Mike, it was a very fascinating time. It was a very fascinating time because many of us, as you said, we went to the grocery store. We live in America. It's 24/7, 365, anything we want, and all of a sudden it wasn't there. And so I think one of the great lessons of COVID is that we've come out of this, maybe most of us, with a little better appreciation of where our food comes from, having that desire for a relationship with that producer, maybe keeping that food mile shorter, dealing more local, and certainly that's where our Georgia Grown branding program comes into play. But we had some very cool days early on in the COVID experience, with some big projects to try to get food people in and around Atlanta and really all over Georgia. You might want to take a look at some of these stories.
Yeah,
pretty good successes.
That box program was amazing. We'll take a look at some video of that box program and how you were delivering local Georgia-grown food to consumers who needed it at the time.
That's right. Agriculture is as important a part of our national security strategy as anything we can do. And I think we see, maybe that's the lesson we've learned during COVID.
I think people appreciate where the food comes from, maybe understand it a little bit better now.
Georgia farmers are resilient, patient, and always ready to react. Spring freezes, hurricanes, drought. Every season, every year, something unpredictable happens. And 2020 has taken things to a whole new level. But the farmers and the farming community have reacted quickly, and so have the consumers who love the product. Within 21 days of concept, the Georgia Grown To Go pop-up market was born. The farmers delivered, and here in Cobb County, the local community followed suit with an estimated 7,000 customers lining up to get their fresh stash of Georgia Grown.
It's a Georgia Grown To Go morning in Cobb County. We've got Georgia Grown consumers, which you can see them by the hundreds. Our great Georgia Grown farmers here, who we have the privilege of working with, and now we get to bring those two groups together with great Georgia Grown products.
It just happened in the last 21 days. Commissioner Black, he brought our good friends from South Georgia. We love supporting the Georgia farmer, getting the food trade more direct here to Cobb County. And as you can see, it brought the people out. We're delighted for this opportunity.
The farmers delivered here in Cobb County, and the local community followed suit with an estimated 7,000 customers lining up.
When we birthed this idea several weeks ago, we knew Cobb County was the place to really make a showing, and they've just outdone themselves today, and I think our farmers have too.
As devastating as this virus has been this year, many of Georgia's fruits and veggies took a turn for the better. Brandon Smith has been running the Georgia Peach Truck for years, slinging sweet Georgia peaches all around the country, and he was at the pop-up market armed with a fresh stash of Dickey Farms peaches.
It's amazing. This is one of the best years we've seen for peaches in decades. We had the right combination of a cold winter, and we had just a really remarkably frost-free spring. We often get nipped a little bit during the spring with some frost and didn't have any frost damage this year, which is somewhat unusual. There's nothing more bulletproof or rock solid, I think, than a great peach from Georgia.
Many of the veggies at this pop-up market are coming from Corbett Brothers Farms way down in Lake Park, Georgia. And just like the peaches, they are also looking good in 2020.
Georgia has the perfect climate for growing produce. Actually, we have the perfect climate twice a year to grow produce in South Georgia. We have a spring season and a fall season. We're right in the middle of our spring season right now. I thank the Commissioner, Gary Black, for putting this thing together, him and the Department of Ag. It's an excellent idea. It helps get fresh produce to people that have been quarantined, and also it helps us farmers to move more product.
It's a pleasant dose of goodness and positivity seeing this community rally, watching Georgia's local and state leaders band together to support a common cause. Georgia farmers and the Georgia Grown team will continue efforts to produce these pop-up markets, feeding the community, supporting their own, and keeping it local, now more than ever.
That was a great program, and I know it really served a lot of Georgians, Commissioner, and helped producers out too.
Heroic work on behalf of our team, working really with local governments, all in and all around the different populations of people, which was cool. But it was a big market for our producers because we lost 50% of the market for fresh fruit and vegetables and dairies just in one fell swoop when these executive orders and states started, kind of shutting down. So I was glad to see that we responded real quickly. Georgia Grown was very strong, and the consumer responded very positively.
Yeah, we're proud of that. Before the pandemic, in normal times, people eat about 50% of the food that they consume, they eat at home, and 50% away from home, restaurants and so forth. Well, that changed overnight, and our supply chains had to change overnight, and so programs like this really helped deliver food to the consumers who needed it.
Mike, I know this. There were Rotary clubs. We were able to work with a number of civic clubs, but I know that there were members of Rotary that were actually involved in, from the USDA standpoint, of that we had local suppliers that had boxes, and I know maybe some of us that are tuning in today that participated, that you're able to get some of those boxes and actually get them back to your community, and we're really glad to be able to partner with you on that. But I think there's more to come of that. We still have a lot of hurting people, and we from our agency and working with our federal partners, we're going to be sure we can be there to service your community. So if some of you have a desire to participate in something like that, certainly agr.georgia.gov is our website, and georgiagrown.com is our website too, and you might find a way there to communicate with us a little bit, and certainly we can provide that information to you a little later.
Another example of Rotary doing good in the community. So now we're getting close to the potatoes being ready, the next stage. So let's prepare. We have some nice Vidalia onions, and we've got some very special sausage here. Tell me about this, Gary.
I tell you, our folks over at Stripling's, they're really an outstanding producer of smoked sausage and pork products. But I think you're going to find this to be a real treat, Mike. And you've got the signature, the state vegetable of the state of Georgia, right there with you.
You know, Georgia's the peach state, but I would say one of the most famous commodities that we have really worldwide is the sweet Vidalia onion, and we're excited to be able to include this. Notice that I cut this through the root end. I like for the onion to stay together, so that helps it, and then just peel it. And so we're going to add the onions and sausage now because they are the next step.
That's right. There we go. Let's do 2 more of those. We're good to go.
All right. So this dish is really one just of stages. The ingredients that we're using now are you're really cooking them till they're done, and the times that we've given you are approximate. If you have larger potatoes, cook for a little bit longer time. The most important ingredient that we'll get to later that is precisely timed is the shrimp and the fish. Right. So we'll zero in on that later on. But let's talk about Vidalia onions.
The state vegetable of the state of Georgia is something that the unique soils of all, it's set up under a marketing order that the only place on earth a Vidalia onion can be grown and can be called a Vidalia is in all or parts of 20 counties in the state of Georgia. It's very much like a Washington state apple from a standpoint of you've been able to call that product a certain name, but there are a lot of pride, a lot of even recipes for growing them, because each one of the growers in that area they have their own prescription for how they grow theirs, and mine actually, even though yours is a Vidalia, mine's a Vidalia, mine's a little better than yours, so that competition is still present. The Vidalia onion trademark, if you get a salad dressing or something, anytime you see the trademark, it's one of the unusual things of how this is structured. It goes back to over 30 years ago that trademark's actually owned by the state of Georgia. So the state manages that trademark on behalf of producers. The producers have a license as a grower, and then they use that trademark on the product. And we're involved on the marketing side. We're also involved on just the regulatory side to make sure that when you purchase a bag or an individual Vidalia onion, you can always have that assurance. And that's our job in the marketplace, to ensure you're never going to see a red Vidalia onion in December. One, there's no such thing. But two, it's our job to make sure there's a unique marketing window, and that protects the quality and protects ultimately a stable product for the consumer, but it also a great cooperative relationship with the producers.
I think that's one of the special things about this dish is that you're using the local ingredients, and you're using them when they're fresh. A dish like this really is consumed and produced all over the world. Chesapeake Bay area, fish boils in Wisconsin. In Asia, they're cooking ingredients like seafood and seasoned water and broth. So this is, like Rotary, this is really an international technique of cooking locally produced food. So
you eat a sandwich on the run. This is what you eat with family.
That's right.
And I think the Rotary family is really going to enjoy this when it finishes today.
That's right. That's right. So I think we're getting close. Let's add our corn.
Yeah, well, Mike, Georgia's one of the top producers of sweet corn. We are right now at the time of the convention. Probably about 5 weeks away from harvest, 5 to 6 weeks away from harvest. We're a leading producer of sweet corn. It's just an I got to tell you, I mean, I love my Vidalia Onions and all that works together, but when sweet corn comes in, it's almost a daily. I've got more growing at my house this year than I've ever had, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I forgot to mention when I introduced Gary is not only is our Commissioner of Agriculture, but he's a farmer as well, farmer producer, and I'm like you. For me, when sweet corn and fresh tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes start, that is when summer begins.
We're hoping 21 will be good for all of our producers. 20 was awesome. Sweet corn is one of those things, back on the COVID discussion, amazing year for sweet corn that we never have seen the demand for that fresh product as it was in 2020, and I hope we're all going to go back and we used to hashtag now more than ever. Mm-hmm. We need one another. That really ought to be a Rotary hashtag, because we all need one another now more than ever. Certainly that responsibility, that relationship between producer and consumer, we needed it last year, but hope y'all going to support those Georgia producers this year too, because it's definitely a time for all of us to be together. I think we do need one another now more than ever, for sure.
So this last step, we added corn. It's very traditional on the coast to use carrots. I've even seen wedges of cabbage, cauliflower. Any of your vegetables that you enjoy is going to be better. If you enjoy them raw, they're going to be better cooked in seasoned water. You could actually have added it back at the step with onions, but at any point you can add these carrots and other vegetables that you enjoy, because they'll take up the seasoning just like the corn will. We're going with just a simple, very traditional low country boil recipe, but get creative, add whatever you like. So the next step, one of the things that I love about sizing this dish down to the stovetop is when you're cooking with a 20-gallon pot and you're dumping in 15 pounds of shrimp and you've got this massive volume of hot water, it's really difficult to control precisely your shrimp. And the shrimp are the thing that if you overcook them, then they're just not as good.
That's right.
And
don't do that.
Don't
listen to Mike.
Oh, no, overcook your shrimp. It's really hard when you're doing a big boil. So that's the thing that we're going to focus on, a way of making sure that we cook our shrimp very precisely and make sure that it's not overdone. The other thing is, not everyone can eat shrimp. We understand people have shellfish allergies, and so what we're offering as an alternative, these are nuggets of grouper cut in about the size of a chicken nugget. You could also use mahi-mahi, any type of really firm fish, something that would be the type of fish that you could poach and hold its texture. And so for those of you who are allergic to shrimp, we suggest that you use a fish like grouper or mahi-mahi. Today we're going to cook them together just to give you an idea of how they work together. So the next step we're going to do, and this is one that's not going to last long. This is just going to be, you're really cooking your shrimp till they're pink and they lose their translucency. And we want to make sure that we don't overcook the shrimp, and we've got a way of making sure that we do that. These are shrimp that are 16 to 20 count, meaning that a pound typically has between 16 or 20 shrimp in it. So these are got some nice size on them. So we may cook these a little longer. If you've got smaller shrimp, you may want to go just a little bit less time, but certainly do not want to overcook your shrimp. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start out with the fish. I'm going to add the fish just a little bit extra right before the shrimp. Okay. And can you hand me that spider? Yeah. So I want to make sure. So here's where we're watching this very closely. You can see that the fish is already starting to cook. Now we're going to add in our shrimp. This is 1 pound of shrimp, half a pound per person serving. Of course, if you're cooking for more, you can add more. This volume of water will handle more food. So now we're just going to keep a close eye on these shrimp. Gary, if you can just kind of keep watching those. I'm going to get our secret weapon here, which is ice. We're going to let these go for probably about a couple of minutes. Yeah, you can tell that they're still not quite there.
You want to show that just real quickly?
Yeah, let's pull.
Can you? I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but we're not there yet.
Yeah. But you can tell all the other ingredients are coming along good. Well, yep, you can tell not quite pink all the way around. You're looking for that pink color. So I'm gonna bump the heat up here. You really, at the point the shrimp go in, you really don't have to be at a hard boil because they're going to cook in this temp. This water is still close to 200 degrees, so they're going to be cooking. Well, I think we're getting pretty close there, don't you? Mm-hmm. Maybe go for just a few more. So the key to making sure your shrimp don't overcook is to take the temperature down quickly. And we're going to do that by using ice. We're going to try to get the temperature down to about 140 degrees. That's a good safe temperature for soak time, and it's also a temperature that ensures that the shrimp aren't going to continue to cook. Right. So traditional sauces with Low Country boil are cocktail sauce, tartar sauce, or remoulade. But one of my favorite things to do is before you put the ice in and to cool down the broth is to take some of the broth, put it in a cup. This is about a half a cup of broth. Put it in with 3 tablespoons of butter, and by the time the meal's ready, that will have melted, and this is a fantastic dipping sauce for your shrimp and other vegetables. Yeah, let's put this ice in. Can you get me my thermometer over there?
Yeah, let's do that.
So we're gonna stir this around. So we've already dropped down to 152, 154,
It's dropping.
Yep. Every pot's a little different, the volume of water and the way the pot is shaped, so I'm just going to add a little more ice to this. That looks good. That looks good. That's going to drop on down. We're right at 140. So you're seasoning your food really in 2 ways when you're cooking a Low Country boil. First is by how much seasoning you put in the pot. We use the 1/3 cup of Old Bay for 1 gallon of water. If you like your food a little more spicy, you could go up to a half cup, or you can go down to a 1/4 cup. So basically at this point, we're going to let this soak. We need to turn this off, move this over. So we're going to let this soak for 10 minutes. And that's the other way that a dish like this gets seasoned is by your soak time. I don't like to soak it for too long because your food starts to cool down.
A little mealy.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that your shrimp stay just perfect. And so we're going to let this soak for 10 minutes and soak up some of the spices. And in the meantime, what you all don't know is that we have had a professional chef overseeing all of this and watching and making sure that we were acting properly throughout this and doing things properly. So I want to introduce Holly Schutt, who is the executive chef of the Georgia Grown programs. He's also was the executive chef at the Governor's Mansion. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you.
She's the face of Georgia Grown, and she was executive chef at the Governor's Mansion for 6 governors, I believe.
Yeah, I started when I was 12.
That's right, I understand. And you, I'm sure through that, have served heads of state and dignitaries from out of country and other governors.
Queens and princes and all kinds of royalty, and cooked from anywhere from 2 to 2,000 people.
Wow. Well, 2 is the smallest that Gary and I have ever cooked for, and I guess 150 or so is the most we've ever cooked for.
Yeah. normally at a juncture like this, you might say, don't ever try this at home. Well, the purpose of this is for you to do it at home. The only reason that we would allow that is by the supervision of the expert. So Mike and I, we've been in the hands of the master this morning.
Yeah. So Holly, tell us a little more about Georgia Grown and buying local fresh food and any critiques you have for things that we did or did not do correctly, so people watching this at home can correct themselves.
I think you guys were spot on with your execution. Really good job, and the soak time is great to absorb some of that flavor. But the commissioner started the Georgia Grown Executive Chef Program in 2012, and through the cooperation with the Georgia Restaurant Association, they selected between 4 and 6 chefs a year to help be chef ambassadors for Georgia Grown and promote Georgia Grown around the state. So I was fortunate enough, I was still at the governor's mansion, to be selected to be part of that first class. And I got to travel around the state and go to schools, and it was amazing. And it made me want to do this full time. So the commissioner and I kind of conspired to try and make it work. And,
we made it. It was a mighty good thing.
When we finally got it going, Sandra Deal did not speak to the governor for 6 months because we kind of did it under the radar.
So it's not, we're over that now. We're thankful because Holly's done such a fantastic job of speaking the language of food. We speak the language of agriculture, and while we put the two together, that winds up being good for consumers and good for farmers, and that was kind of the objective all along.
And as a reminder, agriculture is the largest segment of business in the state of Georgia. Agriculture and agribusiness, and critically important to our economy.
Still number one, and this is time for a paid commercial because Mike works in the poultry industry. It's my job now to remind us that the largest segment of agriculture in Georgia is poultry. Right?
That's right.
I got that right?
And as you say that, there are people on the Georgia coast, and this is very traditional, that add chicken wings to Low Country Boil. And so we did get our poultry plug in. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah, there we go. Well, that's part of it we get to, but we still lead the nation in pecan production, peanut production, still. And a lot of people don't know that Georgia is the #1 state for forest products, which we actually are. But we lead in so many of these great fresh vegetables too, and fruits. We're the peach state still, #3 in the country. But I think it's been said that I think California may produce 20 times more peaches than we do, but we can assure you that ours are 20 times better.
Even olive oil now.
Yeah, a lot of different things, and citrus. We're the citrus opportunities in the state of Georgia is really a burgeoning part of a new part of agriculture here for us, and we're really excited about what the future is there for them.
And this dish is really one that really typifies using fresh, seasonal, local ingredients as much as you can. Typically, this is a dish that's done in the summer and fall in a very social setting. A big pot poured out on the table, very similar to a crawfish boil in Louisiana or crab bake in Maryland, and so we're excited to share it with you here. So I think we have some video we can show that shows a little bit of what Georgia Grown is about.
Yep. Love to introduce it to you because we've been working for a number of years to build this brand, and our desire is always for it to be the #1 state brand in America. And hope that you can enjoy it. And again, our website is georgiagrown.com, but hope kind of enjoy this quick visit with some of our very key players in Georgia Grown.
Why buy Georgia Grown? Because Georgia Grown is the flavor of home. It's the wholesome satisfaction of having family gathered around the table after a busy day. It's an investment in friends and neighbors, in community. It's local. Georgia Grown is a promise of quality. It's a promise of freshness. It's a promise made by the farmer and his family who live just down the road. It's a promise of innovation and creativity made by the entrepreneur next door, the one whose determination feeds his own family and yours. So why buy Georgia grown? Because Georgia is home.
Well, it's a great program, Commissioner, and really important for Georgia producers and consumers. But we've been talking mainly about crops of the soil, but the main ingredient here is a crop that comes from the ocean.
It is.
And shrimping industry on the Georgia coast is very important.
Very important, and not just from food production, from environmental stewardship, and lots of different things that go into that relationship with, with that seafood family, and then actually harvesting from the sea. And they have a rich tradition down on our coast for sure.
They really are, and they're stewards of that resource because it's important to their livelihood. And they also have to make sure that they're being responsible in protecting wildlife such as sea turtles, and they have special ways of doing that and have innovative ways of doing that, and so we're proud whenever we can to buy and eat, consume Georgia shrimp.
That's exactly right. They're just nothing better than going to the Georgia coast. That's another one of those things we'll be doing hopefully this summer.
That's right.
But we're hopefully you've been able to find some Georgia grown shrimp for this meal, and we're very partial to that, for sure.
Yeah. And we had all planned to gather at Jekyll Island for this conference, so we're hoping that this dish will bring a taste of the Georgia coast to you, District 6910 Rotarians, and it has been a pleasure to be with you for this. So I think it's time to start.
Let's
start
dish
dishing
it
it
up.
up. So what we're going to do here is move our serving plate over. And at this point, you could very easily pour this through a colander and get your food out. But we're going to do it differently because we're going to cook another batch of this when the cameras turn off, because there are more people to feed around here. We're cooking a meal for 2 people, but there's a few extra hungry people in this room that we're going to make sure that they're taken care of as well. So we don't want to waste this perfect broth. So if you can see, the grouper's just turning out perfectly. It's a firm fish and it's staying together. The sausage looks fantastic. I believe the shrimp are going to be just right. You know what's funny about a low country boil is when you're sitting around, everybody seems to have the thing that they think tastes the best during that meal. Some people say, "Man, this corn is good," or "I can't believe how good this sausage is." And a lot of times it's the ingredients other than the shrimp, but the shrimp really brings the flavor to the overall dish.
Right. So much color in the dish too. That's it's a very vibrant. It's nice to have an attractive plate.
You know, Rotary is a social club. Social gatherings are important for Rotary. And this is a dish that's perfect for gathering together. Unfortunately, today, this looks like a pretty good meal for 2.
It's a real big meal for 2.
But hopefully we can get all together soon and have a traditional outdoor low country boil. But we're gonna enjoy this one
Looking
today.
Good. Great job.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks for letting us be here.
So Gary, we have the final dish. It was a pleasure to cook with you. Thank you for welcoming us into the Georgia Grown Kitchen. This is the bounty of land and sea and an iconic low country boil Georgia dish. And we hope that the Rotarians watching at home have cooked along with us and will enjoy their meal as well. Let's bless it before we get started. Lord, we're blessed to be part of an organization, Rotary International, that does such good work throughout the world. We're thankful for the farmers and the fishermen and all the people that brought this food to our table. We ask that you bless this meal so that we can be nourished to serve you and our fellow man. Amen.
Amen.
All right, let's dig in.
Let's dive.
You know, one of the things that I like to do, you kind of taste the seasoning first, but we season the dish with Old Bay, but there's no reason you can't, if you didn't season quite enough, there's no reason you can't sprinkle it over the top of this, and I always like to do that, especially on my shrimp.
Yeah.
If you want some.
Really good on ear corn too.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try one of these shrimp first thing. Good sign as they peel easily. That's one of the things that you want to see. And we got this sauce made from the broth and butter that I'm gonna add on to my shrimp. Of course, we got some cocktails, some remoulade, and some tartar there, Gary, if you want it as well.
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, the grouper is different. This is,
Yeah,
the shrimp are perfect. If I do say so myself.
let's try the grouper. It's spot on with the grouper, Mike.
Is it?
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
right.
basically poaching fish, but you're doing it in a larger volume of water, and it's seasoned like a low country boil. I'm gonna try some cocktail sauce with my fish. Of course you talked about it, but that'll cooking the shrimp properly, cooking the seafood ball, that's right. But that soaking time after it's really important to get the
like
seasoning
it puts the exclamation point on everything.
All right, let's try the stripling sausage. Now this is sausage that I have been eating my entire life. I remember back in the 1960s going to the original store in Warwick, and they've been a iconic Georgia grown product even before there was a Georgia grown.
Yeah, they have one of the finding the striplings in Bogart, of course, down in around Lake Blackshear, but they're also like some new ventures in St. Simon's, and there's several others that are actually franchising the business. It's really doing well, but that's all 100% Georgia-grown pork, and they have a wonderful family recipe.
You know, I think the thing that soaks up the most spice is the corn. You always can tell. That's good.
Wait a minute, bread.
Oh
bread,
yeah, we
Mike.
do have bread.
Bread, Mike. Your special.
This is just garlic bread with Parmesan cheese and a little bit of butter.
The drizzle of
I'm gonna try
of olive oil is the
now, as you know,
secret weapon there a little bit too.
You know, my wife Carla is from Louisiana. She's a Cajun girl, and our nephew, who was in high school, has created this sauce, B-Daddy's.
Okay.
And it's a fantastic seasoning for all types of food. So I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of that on there.
It's all exceptional. Did you put was the bread recipe included for everyone?
It wasn't. I'm sorry,
You're
but
missing out, folks.
It was good. Parmesan adds to it. Well, normally when you're having a low country boil, you've got about 30 or 40 people around you. And naturally, we wish that could have been the case, but in these times, it's not the kind of thing that we can do, but we hope that very soon in the future, we can all get together and enjoy low country boil outside on picnic tables the way it's meant to be. But in the meantime, you can cook it at home following the instruction we gave you, and we really hope you enjoyed this show and look forward to seeing you in person in the future very soon.
Thank you all. God bless. Appreciate it.